Hi Pisces, welcome to your end of March 2020 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. I was just thinking, I've been getting so many pentacles, and it's like, I don't know, the money situation of people, if that's what it is, or you're just dealing with a person who's an earth sign, which it could certainly be like a Taurus. So the heart of the matter is Nine of Pentacles, which is a card of self-sufficiency financially. So any issue that either supports that or threatens it may be on your mind at the moment. And in relationships, this can be like if you're with somebody and you feel dependent on them, maybe you make less money, or you're staying home to raise a child and you feel like they're controlling with the money. That could also be in play. Or just in the workplace, are you getting what you deserve financially? Is it very tough? In the past position, we have the Five of Pentacles, which is a card of lack consciousness and fear-based thinking as a result. So this is kind of like a person who takes a certain job even though they feel that it's underpaying, because they feel like, oh, well, they're offering me this. What if I can't get something else? And, sometimes lack consciousness may be in play, but it still is, a wise thing, because you might have like a lot of unknowns, and that's just how it is. But it's really about cultivating the opposite of that eventually. Maybe in a crisis situation, we're not going to necessarily just take chances, although some people do. Some people, even when their backs are against the wall, they say, no, I'm not going to accept this job because they won't give me what I feel that I'm worth, and they end up landing on their feet anyway. But I'm kind of like a little bit cautious myself, so I wouldn't necessarily be that brave. But I think that in our everyday life, we can cultivate this, where we are more and more of the belief that we are deserving of certain things, and that we have the right to them. And then I feel like life will naturally show up that way. That's just how I personally see it. And in relationships too, this with the Nine of Pentacles, to me, it's like not just financial self-sufficiency, but self-esteem. In the second house, which is the house that Taurus rules, it's not just about the money that you earn, but it's about your feelings of self-worth or lack thereof. So this is an extension of that, as far as I interpret it, is that being able to be alone and to still value yourself and to feel like worthy is so important, so that you don't settle for less in relationships as well. And the higher message is the Two of Pentacles, which is a card of a lot going on. Perhaps, now this is the spiritual message, so I'm not really interpreting it at that mundane, literal level. I'm thinking more in terms of flexibility, the ability to kind of like go with the flow. It's funny because there's water behind the person. Sometimes in the, the mundane interpretation, it can be like a job offer overseas or something like, far away, or somebody who's working two jobs. But I feel like as a spiritual message, it's about doing what it takes to do what you need to do, in other words. So it's not like about being rigid and saying, no, I can only do this, I can't do that. You're living in this moment and dealing with things as they come. And being flexible enough to to do, if, in one instance, it could be somebody who has to work 2 jobs, but it might just be temporarily. But having the ability to do more than one thing at a time. And in relationships, about making a decision of what, if you're looking for a permanent relationship, to me, the pentacles are all about, something of substance, something that lasts. And, you have to decide whether you're barking up the wrong tree with a particular person that you're dealing with. And it's interesting because the card that crosses you is the Hierophant, which is connected to Taurus. But also the Hierophant, so that person may not be the right one, let's put it that way. The Hierophant is also a card of marriage. It's also a card of tradition. And in the challenge position, it could actually mean either one. Either, you're just maybe choosing people based on the exact opposite of what you were raised to believe. Like if you were raised in a very strict family and you choose kind of rebellious partners because you're trying to kind of get back at your parents many years later. Or just to assert your independence, but you're really in a reactionary kind of a mode. Or that you're excessively conformist, where you're a little bit too deeply entrenched in a particular religious belief or a particular social, cultural conditioning, that you're allowing yourself to make decisions based on that. And this can be with career matters as well. The Pentacles connect also, actually with, the work and the money specifically. And there can be that conditioning that says, from parents of what their expectations were, what they wanted you to do for a living. And feeling like if it differs from what your true passion is, that you're letting them down. And that might be excessive conformity. Now, if you're in your early 20s, I give people a pass because they really haven't lived by them, alone or away from home for a long time, and in some cases may still be physically living under the same roof as their parents. And, their influence is still fairly great. It's when you get older, when you get past the age of 30, that it's really the crucial time to start to, look at your own life and what you want out of it, and stop allowing other people's dictates, or actually I should say other people's desires for you to dictate what you end up doing. And this is part of becoming an adult, because you're individuating from others, and that means that you have to risk perhaps not being accepted. And maybe in some cases that parent or that circle of friends will reject you, look down on you. And that is what being a full-blown adult is all about, in my opinion. So that might be kind of plaguing you in some way, that you kind of have it in your head that you have to do a certain thing, or that you're going to rebel against doing something, even if it's good for you. What's coming in is a Death card. This is a card of, letting go of, things that are not serving you. This is about transformation. Now, I chose to do Pisces reading first because some of you are experiencing your solar return. In the next week, you're a late degree of Pisces, and also, just in general, the rest of you have recently had your solar return. So you're starting a whole new cycle, and this is a time to really think about how you want to show up in the world as you move forward. And, you know, I feel like it's so important to believe that you have that autonomy and that right to live your own life, and also to get what you deserve. You know, going back to the Nine of Pentacles, of being able to live, be financially solvent, financially independent, and not have to worry about, you know, working at a job and making the money that, you know, like, because the Two of Pentacles can even be like, you know, working two jobs and having to cobble together the money. And perhaps you're working for somebody who's crying poor, who could pay more, but they choose not to because it's easier for them, or they can make more of a profit. So that's the other piece in this, is that Pisces tends to take people at face value. And even when the people are being manipulative and trying to, you know, because they don't want to have to pay a living wage or what have you. And so with the Two of Pentacles, it's like, how is that affecting you? Maybe you have to work more hours just to make ends meet, and then that eats away at the rest of your life where you can't do anything. So the Death card is about kind of letting go of the need to control, because change is inevitable and something has got to give, and not standing in the way of that, allowing that to happen. Don't be afraid of it. And also, you know, with personal relationships as well. But the outcome card is the Two of Cups. So in personal relationships, this might mean reuniting with somebody, perhaps from your past. You know, if the Death card means that you're ending a relationship, then maybe there's somebody that you have decided to go back to. But the other thing, too, is with the Death card is that this could be something within yourself. If you have been, like with the Hierophant, if you've been rebelling against something and there's somebody that's really good for you, then perhaps this means commitment. The Two of Cups can mean commitment to somebody. And perhaps you've been fighting commitment for your own reasons. In terms of work-related matters, this could be related to, like, going back to some other place that you have worked before. Maybe you've been doing something on your own, or you're in between jobs and you just go back somewhere else. I don't know how often that happens, but the theme of reuniting is very common with the Two of Cups, although anytime you have a two, you're going to have a choice. And we have two twos here. Now, one of them is the Two of Pentacles, and one being the Two of Cups. You are cups because you are water. So if you are choosing some kind of a job based upon how much it pays versus whether or not it really speaks to your soul, then in that case, I would say the exact opposite of what I've been saying throughout this whole reading with the Nine of Pentacles, and I would be reading it totally differently, of that image of somebody who has all this money and blah, 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 but are they really happy? You know, because the Two of Cups can be emotionally fulfilling. And for another sign, let's say you were an earth sign, you might be perfectly content to do something that provides the highest income. That might be really what floats your boat. Whereas somebody else, they might be more interested in something that is emotionally gratifying, that speaks to their emotional well-being. And I think that you fall into that category much more readily than you do in terms of just how much you're getting for a certain job. Okay, that's what I have for you, Pisces. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.